So thank you so much for joining our webinar today. I'm really looking forward to this one, and I hope that you are as well. So my name is Dee. I'm a Tobii Dynavox Solutions Consultant. I cover the southwest of England and South Wales, and I'm based in Bristol. And I'm really excited to be joined today by Laura.
Hi, so I'm Laura, the parent of Ethan. We've been using TD Snap for about 6 months now, and it's been by far the most powerful, impactful thing that we've done along this whole sort of journey. Ethan is autistic and non-speaking, and it's truly given him a voice.
So I'm really looking forward to this, and especially hearing Laura's perspective. So what's today going to look like? So I'm going to start off the session by giving a brief overview about AAC as well as TD Snap. And then I'm going to pass it over to Laura, and she's going to share her and Ethan's journey with TD Snap so far. And then we're going to have time at the end for questions. So if you have questions along the way, please feel free to put them in the chat. My colleague Ashita will be keeping an eye on the chat. And then at the end, we will be able to go through and answer any questions that you have. So today we're going to start off by talking about AAC, and this is a term that probably a lot of you are already familiar with, but I'm just going to spend a minute talking about it before we dive into everything TD Snap. So AAC stands for Augmentative and Alternative Communication. And by definition, AAC is a strategy, support, tool, or any form of communication that's used in addition to or in place of the spoken word. But what does this actually look like? Include using gestures, so that could be pointing, or a more formal gestures system like a sign language or Makaton. It could be using facial expressions to express feelings or thoughts about something. It's pretty clear in this picture what this boy here is feeling. It could also be writing, so that could either be writing letters, words, or sentences. Have you ever seen a sign like this in a playground? This is a communication board. It could be pointing at symbols on a communication board, using a communication book, or using a system like PECS. Or it could also be using an app, an AAC app like TD Snap. And that's what we're really going to talk about today. So what is TD Snap? So TD Snap is an app from Tobii Dynavox for AAC. So to help people with speech and language disabilities be able to communicate. And TD Snap comes with a wide range of tools available to support someone with communication. So we're going to look at a little bit about what that means. So TD Snap has different symbol-based vocabularies or page sets available. And these are the vocabulary packages that we have. And so we have Core First, Motor Plan, and Express. But before we go into what the differences are between these different page sets, I just want to show you a couple examples of what using TD Snap can look like. It's important to know that using TD Snap and AAC will look different for absolutely everyone. So you'll see a couple examples here on my slides, and then you'll also hear from Laura and see some examples of her personal experiences of what introducing AAC has looked like for her and Ethan. And it's important to note that AAC is a journey, and what it looks like will change over time as well. So,
go, stop.
So in this example, I'm selecting some core words, and these are the words that we have that can be used across a wide range of different contexts. And so I could be saying, oh, we could be running around and we could be playing a game, and I could be saying, go, 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 and then stop, we need to freeze. Or it could be let's go out to the car. Or if we were doing an activity and it was time to go and to stop doing that activity, I could use stop. So it can be used in lots of different ways. In TD Snap, you can also communicate in full sentences. So this is just an example of what that looks like.
I want to go to the playground. I want to go to the playground.
In all of our vocabularies, you can also access a keyboard.
D. Hi. D hi.
And so you can spell out words. There's also a whiteboard, which you can use for drawing to help with communicating. And also visual supports. So each page set in TD Snap have different visual support options.
Morning. First, get dressed. Then, eat breakfast.
So this can be used as a first and next, so to help support with routines and visuals for that routine and to support with that. And you've seen kind of a wide range of examples, but usually at this point you're thinking, I have so many questions about AAC, and that's completely normal and to be expected. So just before we go on, I'm just going to answer two common questions that we often hear. So the first one is, but won't using symbols or an AAC device stop my child from talking? And the answer to this is no. Many people are worried that this will prevent their child from developing communication skills, in particular verbal skills. However, leading researchers have researched this topic, and the studies show that AAC does not stop the production or development of speech, but can in fact either work in conjunction with or have a positive impact on speech production. And using AAC can be part of multimodal communication. The next question that we get a lot is, but aren't they too young to use an AAC device? And the answer to this is also no. So people worry that children may need to be a certain age or have a certain set of prerequisite skills in order to introduce an AAC app to, and there's no evidence to suggest this. So the concern often comes from the belief that AAC could prevent the development of speech, but we've just already talked about how that's not the case. And it's also been proven that you don't need to have certain cognitive skills like cause and effect to be able to introduce AAC. So researchers have found that cognitive development and speech and language developments are interrelated but not causal. So cognitive development does not lead to speech development and vice versa. However, communication can be a vehicle for expanding cognitive skills. So using AAC can help with building those skills. AAC can also help with developing other foundation skills, and this includes visual skills, having support for routines, being able to make decisions, being able to participate, and also with improving literacy. So now that we've covered a couple of the questions that you might have, let's look back at the different page sets that are available in TD Snap. So first we have Core First. And one of the key things in Core First is that you're able to adjust the grid size. So you're able to change and adjust how many buttons you have on each page. In Core First, we also have a topics page, and there are a wide range of topics. And then each topic contains phrases related to that topic, as well as built-in visual supports for each topic specifically, which can be edited. We then have Motor Plan, and so Motor Plan is available in 30, 40, or 66 buttons. And it has access to a vocabulary of over 2,700 words. And this one, you can't adjust the grid size. So you would choose the grid size and then you would continue with that one. The vocabulary is intuitively grouped to make it easy to find words, and there's no duplication of words. And each word in Motor Plan can be found in 3 navigations or less. So really trying to make navigation as optimal as possible. There's always space for personalization to add your own buttons to every page. And it also contains a tool called the vocabulary filter, which can be used to hide certain words to make it easier to learn the path to find the vocabulary that you're focusing on. So this could be really helpful during a specific speech and language therapy session. And then lastly, we have TD Snap Express, which is really new, and this is a theme-based vocabulary. So it's organized around different themes to make communication about basic wants and needs very quick and easy. So you have your different themes. You still have access to a keyboard and a dashboard with those supports, like visual supports, as well as a whiteboard. And it's available in 1 grid size only. So you can notice that those buttons are quite large for easy access. And then once you get to a topic, you will find that the words that you need for that topic are there, as well as orange words and phrases, which are the sentence starters, so that you can be able to communicate different things about that theme while staying and not having to navigate elsewhere. So that is a lot of information, and we have resources that go through the different page sets in TD Snap in more detail. It's important to work with the AAC user and everyone supporting them, including family members and speech therapists, to figure out and work together to choose the right page set in TD Snap. However, we do also have resources to help. So we do have the Tobii Dynavox Learning Hub, which has free courses about AAC and TD Snap, as well as My Tobii Dynavox for professionals, where you can get a free license of TD Snap for assessment purposes. And just before I hand it over to Laura, I just want to share a couple of my TD Snap top tips, which are to have TD Snap accessible on the device at all times, having it always within reach, to model without expectation, and to incorporate it as much as possible into normal activities every single day. And when I say modeling, what that means is that you're touching the words on the device as you're speaking. So this is a really key concept because this is how the user learns where the words are located and what they are. But it takes time, and you'll see in Laura's examples, there's some really great examples of modeling, but you just press the buttons on the device and use keywords from your sentences. So like if I was gonna say, oh, later, we're gonna go to the park. So I could push go and I could push park on the device, for example. And it's okay to think out loud while you're looking for words, and it's totally fine to make mistakes. So how do you actually get started using TD Snap? So you can download TD Snap for iPad from the App Store, and the app is available as a free 30-day trial, and then it's a subscription of $9.99 per month. Or it's also available on any Tobii Dynavox AAC device. And lastly, we have a program called TD Snap for Schools, and it's important to note that this program is currently available in the UK and Ireland. And this is available so that schools can access free licenses of TD Snap to use on interactive whiteboards in the classroom to support with modeling and introducing AAC. And I do have the QR code here, which you can scan to read more and register on our website. And we will also put the link in the chat. All right, so now thank you so much for listening to my part. I am going to hand things over to Laura.
Okay, so firstly, I'm thrilled to be here today and just talking about AAC. Since AAC has been part of our life. I could talk about AAC for hours and for days and just explaining the sort of powerful impact it's had on Ethan's life, but also just our life as a whole family. But also, I'm really excited for everyone that's joined today, whether you're the parent of an autistic child, whether you're a professional that's looking to learn more about AAC. I'm so excited for all of the sort of magical AAC moments that await you and the children you're supporting. And it's important to note that these magical moments can look very different. So for some children, that may be requesting their favorite food or their favorite activity. For others, it may be that actually just tolerating the device in their space, looking at it every now and then and just pressing all the buttons just for fun. That might be success for that child at that point. Success looks different for every child and for every family. But these magical moments await, and I'm so sort of excited for you to just learn all you can about it and to get started with this. So on the note of sort of magical moments, throughout I'm going to just show you a few videos of Ethan, my son, using AAC. And this first video on the left is the first time we were able to cook and feed Ethan the food that he actually wanted. So as parents of autistic children, as people that support autistic children, we're pretty good detectives and we're pretty good at knowing. But actually, for the first time, we were able to say to Ethan, do you want pizza or do you want sausage pasta? And he could tell us. You'll also hear Ethan pressing a button that says, it's time for dinner. And this is an example of a button that we've added and we've personalised because we'd always say that phrase at dinner time. So we're giving Ethan the chance to tell us when it's his time for dinner and kind of what he wants. So if I just play this video to you now.
Do you want pizza or sausage pasta?
It's time for dinner.
It's time for dinner. Good boy. Do you want pizza or sausage pasta?
Sausage pasta.
Sausage pasta? Okay.
And I think you can see at the end there, Ethan does a kind of little sort of smile to himself. And that's a theme that you'll see in all the videos that I'm sharing, just how much sort of happiness and kind of joy it gives Ethan to be able to communicate. And you can, the first time after this video when we made him sausage pasta and gave it to him, you could literally sort of see the penny dropping and think, I asked for that and now I've got it, this works. And that's just so powerful for a 4-year-old that wants sausage pasta and bubbles. But actually, that's going to get more and more important as he grows and as he develops. And the second video, this is one of my favorite videos. You can see how excited he is to be telling us that we're doing something that he loves.
Let's feed the ducks. Good boy. Yay!
And you can hear again that that's another phrase that's Ethan loves feeding the ducks. It's one of his favorite things. So we've added that particular phrase to his device to personalize it and to just keep it fun. But also at the end, if you use Makaton, you might have spotted it, but he did the more sign for Makaton at the end. And I firmly believe that all communication breeds communication. There's no communication that's better than the others. They all link together to form a wonderful sort of umbrella of communication. So in terms of sort of how we got started with AAC, I first heard about AAC via Instagram, so via a family of a non-speaking autistic child like Ethan. And I saw it being used. And when I saw it, I just knew that it was going to become part of our life and just kind of form part of our life. I could sort of see it in our future. One reason for this is because Ethan is an absolute sort of whiz with technology. The things he can do on YouTube with like speeding it up and rewinding it. So that was always one part of it. Also, technology is just really engaging for Ethan. It's how he has learned so many things in terms of counting and colours and shapes. And it was just going to be really powerful for him. So we tried in the past, we'd been those families that had all the kind of laminated, beautiful kind of picture cards. And 30 seconds later, they're slid down the back of radiators, they're chucked around, they're screwed up, you know, using kind of high-tech, robust AAC was always something that was going to work for our family. So roughly about 6 months ago, we started working with a new speech and language therapist. She recommended TD Snap, recommended that we try the Motor Plan 30 page set, which I know Dee explained a little bit of earlier. But for us, I think this has been so important for Ethan because every time he presses a button, it goes back to the home page. So once he's made a request, like sausage pasta, it goes back to the home page so he can start to kind of memorize and form up all these different pathways. So that's been sort of really powerful for him. And AAC has just been, as I said in the introduction, just been literally the best thing that we've done kind of as a family. And just by giving Ethan a voice, we've seen his confidence increase. We've seen him build better relationships with people. So when he can use his voice, and we show him that we honour it and we respect it. Also, we very much sort of went all in as a family to AAC. So the first week we introduced AAC, we were actually on holiday, so we weren't working and we could just really kind of concentrate on learning this kind of new skill. So it may be that you decide to introduce AAC over half term or in the Christmas holidays. Maybe just have a little bit of a think, kind of what sort of suits you best and when the kind of semi-perfect time to do it is. So I'm just going to share a couple more videos with you, and mainly just to show that AAC is about so much more than just requesting. So the fact Ethan can request is amazing and it's brilliant. We can do the things he wants. But also AAC has been brilliant in showing us Ethan's knowledge. So we could then kind of send him off to specialist school and think, actually, we know that he can count. We know he knows his colours. We know he knows his shapes. So this first video is him. He's watching on YouTube a number video counting to 20, and he's matching it on his AAC. If you really listen, you'll hear that actually it's in Spanish, this video. I think, as lots of autistic children seem to do, they love listening to different languages. So this is in Spanish, but you can see how he's navigating the AAC a little bit in this video.
9, 8, 5, 1.
So you can see there how it always went back to the home screen, but actually how fast Ethan has kind of got. And I think I had to check that I wasn't filming it on a fast setting. You know, he can navigate really quickly between them. But also you'd notice that when he was pressing 3, 2, 1, Ethan has developed his own Ethan technique, which is very kind of typical of Ethan, where he could just like lightly press the buttons and it wouldn't speak, but it also wouldn't go back to the home page. So he's kind of just learning how to use it in his way. This next video is we personalize the button. So it's under Quickfire's Greetings and Social that says happy birthday Olivia. So Olivia is my niece, Ethan's cousin, and my family were sending loads of kind of lovely messages on our kind of family WhatsApp group of my nieces and nephews singing or saying happy birthday Olivia. So for the first time, Ethan has been able to take part in that, and I'll show you what this looked like.
Happy birthday, Olivia.
Good boy.
And I just think it's so important for him to just have this voice and just to take part in all this as a family. So just personalize it to whatever suits your family. Okay, so I'm just going to share a few of the kind of AAC challenges that we came across and you may come across, and how to overcome them. So first of all, just recognizing that AAC is a new language, and to actually just be a bit sort of kind to yourself and gentle with yourself about this. So it does take some commitment to learn. It takes dedication. So actually just kind of being patient with yourself, and as Dee said, don't worry about making mistakes or pressing the wrong button or thinking out loud. Just kind of, yeah, being kind to yourself, and also just have a little bit of a think about when you want to introduce AAC. So for us, for example, we've just had a big fight to get Ethan into his specialist school. So a year or so ago, if we tried to introduce AAC during that time, it probably wouldn't have been such a success. You know, we wouldn't, when going through a stressful time, say, let's learn French as a family and become bilingual. You know, so just kind of being a bit kind to yourself and picking a time where you think you can really kind of dedicate and commit. You'll also come across some myths, and I know Dee has mentioned lots of these. And a big one for us is things like a child must be pointing first. They must have a good attention span, and they must be able to use the picture cards. For us, Ethan lost the ability to point. So about kind of 12 months old, he stopped pointing. But actually, by using his AAC, it's worked on this skill, and now he's beautifully pointing at his AAC, but also pointing, you know, a cat in the street, and it's taught him this skill back. So I think that's a sort of perfect example of how it supports that and how it supports his attention span. Also, you might hear AAC described as screen time, especially if you are starting to talk to your child's nursery or school about having it in school. And so AAC isn't screen time, it's your child's voice. On Ethan's iPad, he only has the TD Snap app. So he doesn't have YouTube, he doesn't have games. This iPad is his talker. It's just used as his voice. And you will have to, obviously professionally and politely, but you might have to practice a couple of these sentences sort of in response to some of these kind of myths or misinformation that may come your way. And lastly, people may say, oh, you're giving up on your child speaking by introducing an AAC. And actually, that couldn't be further from the truth. You're supporting your child, you're giving them a voice, you're giving them a chance to communicate. And we have literally seen Ethan become more confident and more relaxed and less frustrating. So AAC is far too powerful to wait for any of these mythical things that may start appearing. You also will find that AAC awareness, even though it is increasing, it's still lacking. Even in settings and while talking to professionals or paediatricians or speech therapists or your child's school, the knowledge just might not be there. And it's no one's fault, but just making sure that that isn't a sticking point for you. So instead of saying, oh, okay, so therefore your child can't have it in school, you think actually we can support them in learning about AAC. So we had this for Ethan's specialist school. AAC was totally new to them. So we sent them the TD Snap free license. We've sent them the training. We've had a meeting with them and shown them some of these videos so we can just demonstrate how powerful it is. And actually you can support all the communication partners in your child's life to become knowledgeable about AAC. So don't let it be a barrier for you. And lastly, just not waiting for perfection. So in an ideal world, I'd love to be able to say, right, Ethan, sit there next to me. We're going to spend an hour or even 5 minutes looking at your AAC, beautifully showing you everything. You know, that's never going to happen. You know, Ethan's version of listening is running around, spinning and building a tower, as well as listening, sort of thing. So not waiting for these kind of moments, you know, you don't need to wait to begin. So in terms of some of our successes, so I've touched on this a little bit already, but one of the sort of main overarching successes is just showing Ethan as a non-speaking 4-year-old that he has a voice and that we honour and respect it. So whether that's him telling us that he wants to go outside, or whether he wants to watch YouTube, or he wants his favourite food, showing that we honour and respect that has made such a difference to Ethan as a sort of human being and to us just as a family. And it's really helped to reduce his communication, his frustration when it comes to communicating. So Ethan, completely validly, really, if he couldn't communicate, he'd get frustrated and he may pinch or scratch a little bit. But actually, since having the AAC, if we see him start to get frustrated, we can show him his AAC and say, show me. And he'll hit that he wants a drink of water, or he wants to go outside, or he needs some help. So it's been absolutely huge in just reducing that level of frustration and just helping Ethan, therefore, just kind of stay regulated and stay happy. We've also had some wonderful moments where Ethan has been able to advocate for himself via his AAC. So if we're in an environment where it's either a bit too overwhelming for him, or he just wants to go, he can tell us now. So we've had situations where me and his dad are sat, in coffee one, having a nice coffee with Ethan, and he'll just press, let's get in the pram. And he gets up and gets in the pram, and he's telling us he wants to go. And that's so important for him to be able to do that. We also had an incident at school when he was poorly and the teachers kind of thought he wasn't quite himself. They could show him his AAC and say, show me. And he hit mummy. So they were able to phone me up. We were able to whiz down and collect him. So first of all, that's showing we honour and respect his communication. He knows that if he's poorly or struggling, he can get who he needs. But also it's so important for him to build these relationships and trust with his new teachers. He's only been at the specialist school for 6 weeks or so, and he knows now that they honour his communication. And Ethan has settled incredibly well and incredibly quickly. And it's definitely because he can communicate and he's got his talker and he knows that he can tell them what he wants. And that ranges from, I need mummy to let's go outside. We've also had some lovely sort of conversational moments that have started to pop up recently. And we've personalised his device. So Ethan loves the phrase, nice to meet you. Because we do like a wacky handshake and it explodes at the end. So we've got nice to meet you. So we had to take Ethan to the doctors. The doctor said, nice to meet you, Ethan. So Ethan went quick fires, greetings and social, and said, nice to meet you. When we took Ethan for his settling in sessions at his school, he could say bye-bye to his teachers. And we've really noticed when Ethan speaks with his ASE, he's looked at. So instead of people looking at us and talking to us about Ethan, they look at him and they see him sat there communicating, and they think that's so huge for him. Also, on the note of the myth that Dee's already spoken about in terms of whether AAC stops words, we've had some successes recently with Ethan verbally saying some words. So he said again, he said more. And actually, these are words that we press all the time via Ethan's AAC. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball whether he would have said it anyway, but, I don't think so. And something big that has happened is that Ethan would always, well, not always, but whenever he has said a word, he would always say it. And it is an honour and it's beautiful to hear his voice, but we wouldn't hear it sort of ever again. The word again, he's now said 4, 5 or 6 times. So it's the first time he's ever repeated a word. So if you need to use that as an example, if anyone's saying that's a myth, feel free to do so. We've also been able to, Ethan's been able to show us that he knows all of his colours and all his numbers and all his shapes. So we can just share that with his school. But something, the most important thing really that's come out of his AAC, and it's a phrase I always say, is that AAC is life-changing for us, but also it's potentially going to be life-saving. So what I mean by this is that Ethan has been able to use his AAC to tell us that he's poorly, to tell us that he needs medicine. We've added mummy kiss it better, which is what we always say whenever he's hurt himself, and we say mummy kiss it better, and he'll come and stick his foot in my face or whatever that looks like. We can also go onto the body parts page and say, where does it hurt? And Ethan pressed ear. And at one day he pressed poorly, he pressed medicine. So we gave him Calpol, he pressed ear, and he had an ear infection. And I think parents of autistic children, anyone who supports autistic children, will know that doctor's appointments, A&E visits aren't the easiest, and sometimes you have to leave without your child getting looked at all or having their temperature taken because it's just not possible. So knowing that Ethan can tell us that now is just absolutely huge in every way. So this is one other moment where Ethan was able to tell us what his favourite animal was for the first time using his AAC.
Ethan, what's your favourite animal? Squirrel.
And you can see again in these videos just how much Ethan is enjoying communicating with us and just using his words and telling us all of these things, which is lovely. So just to end my section before we get on to questions, I just wanted to share with you some of my top tips. So the first one is just to initially get used to taking your AAC everywhere you go. So this is what our speech therapist actually told us and said, just remove all pressure, remove all overwhelm of even touching it. Just get used to taking it with you. So if you go to the supermarket, if you go in the car, if you go to the zoo, take it with you. So that makes you buy a good case, buy a strap that I currently wear. Ethan refuses to wear anything currently, but the aim would be for him to wear it at some point. And just get used to, I say, sort of treat it like the family and just take it everywhere you go, because if it's not with you, you can't use it. And just get used to what that means. So it means you need to leave it charged and everything else. So the second one, so Dee has already said about modeling without expectation and verbalizing. So you'll notice from the videos that when Ethan presses things, we always kind of verbally reinforce it. When we're pressing the buttons, so if Ethan wanted bubbles, I would verbalize and press more things, toys and games, bubbles. And I think that has really helped Ethan kind of just memorize and keep track of all the different paths. But also making sure you model in good and in bad scenarios. So why Ethan is able to tell us when he's poorly and tell us when things hurt is because we've modeled in those scenarios. So if Ethan was outside and he came in a bit upset and he was limping or whatever, he'd stubbed his toe, we would be able to go onto body parts and say, oh, Ethan's hurt his toe. And then if he's poorly and we were giving him Calpol, we'd press medicine and we'd press I'm poorly. So obviously doing all the cuddling and all the everything you need to, but also modeling at the same time. So because actually it's potentially more important for them to talk to you and be able to explain in these sort of bad situations. So trying to do that as much as you can. But first of all, just pick one routine to introduce AAC to. So my kind of personality would be like, right, we're going to do it 24/7 at all time, everywhere we go. And you wouldn't be able to do it and you'd probably give up and you just get completely overwhelmed and it wouldn't work. So for us, we picked food and drink as the first kind of routine, as that's something that really motivates Ethan. So we personalized the food and drink folder with all of his favorite food. We added phrases like, it's time for dinner, I'm hungry, I'm full. And so when we were at the table and we gave Ethan his sausage pasta, we would hit, it's time for dinner, sausage pasta. If it was hot, we'd maybe go on to the scriptures and say, press hot as well, and just do everything you can around one kind of routine as a starting point, and just kind of, and that's okay if that's all you do for a bit. So just try and just reduce feeling overwhelmed and giving up. Fourth tip is to just try and keep it fun and keep it interesting. So you don't want AAC to become a chore, for you or for your child. You don't want it to become this huge demand. So that's why the sort of modeling with expectation, take it with you, just kind of make it kind of part of the family, but also trying to keep it fun. So Ethan loves numbers, loves counting. So we've added a folder counting all the way up to 100. We've added some phrases from his favorite TV shows. But something that Ethan also loves doing is music and listening to all of his favorite songs. So this is an example of singing and singing one of Ethan's favourite songs, and you can see he's pressing the words to tell me what to sing and pressing some of the key words.
Yucky.
Yucky! Good boy.
Banana.
Do you like bananas? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Do you like soup? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Do you like bananas yet? No, I don't. Yucky! Wow.
Do you like broccoli?
Do you like broccoli? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Do you like ice cream? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Do you like broccoli ice cream?
Ice cream.
No, I don't.
Stew.
Good boy.
Yucky.
Yucky!
If.
Broccoli ice cream.
Okay, so that's just a kind of lovely example of how you can use AAC to mix with your child's special interests and just make it fun. And also another example of kind of that's what Ethan looks like kind of when he's listening and when he's engaged. You know, he often runs away from things kind of when he loves it. And that kind of forms part of his routine. So, you know, I could have very easily been like, oh, he's running away, he's not interested. But just to kind of keep going. And, you know, Ethan's always listening. We say he's got eyes in the back of his head because he's always watching. And my tip 5 is that you are now an AAC advocate. So now you know about AAC, now you know the myths and you know that they're not true. And you've potentially got the evidence and the examples to kind of back that up. You now, and however you want to do it, however kind of professionally and politely via email or via vocal, whatever, you now can stand up for AAC and you can say, actually, that's not true. Do you know that there's research that's happened that shows that it helps a child speak, and give Ethan as an example. And you will probably have to be an AAC advocate. So when you say your child uses an AAC device, you may hear some of these myths. So just have your kind of planned sentence ready to go to just kind of support AAC. Bonus tip is to just make sure you don't give up. So as I've said a few times and right at the beginning, success looks different for every family. Ethan has taken to AAC really well. You know, AAC seems like it was sort of made for Ethan. So don't kind of compare it to other people's success. Just look at kind of what's happening within your family. And actually for your child, the fact that they just tolerate it might be huge to begin with. The fact that they look at it might be huge to begin with. So to just keep it accessible, keep modeling, reflect on the successes that you've already had, but just to keep going. AAC is far too powerful to just be given up on and shoved away. Okay, so now we've got time for questions.